It's Ursula Brinkmann. How are you? How are you?
Matthew, it's Matthew Hill. Hello.
I don't know. I can't say. Oh no, there I am on the camera. There, it's all pretty well.
Yeah, it's all there.
Fantastic. Really good to have you on the show. It wasn't easy going through your agent, your bodyguard, the financiers, getting that contract together, but you're here. That's the main thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thanks very much for being so persistent.
Given the pseudo democracy that we pretend we're in, the freedoms that we enjoy, what would you like to talk about and riff on today?
Matthew, I think that given that this is now almost kind of like the first anniversary of all of us being more or less in lockdown and all of our lovely work with participants face to face being pushed, into little square screens. I mean, we all, you and I, and everyone listening to this has had their learning curve, their experiences, and I'd like to call them virtual experiences. And so you've done amazing stuff. Everyone has done amazing stuff. And so I'd love to look at it from the bright side and to see, okay, so what are the highlights and but also the subtle things that differ,
Yeah.
and what do they tell us? Yeah, how do can we work with this new world?
Lovely. Okay, so in the change model, I'd like to burn some bridges. I'd like to burn some boats from the old. Old. You and I would go to a place, so that was a train, plane, automobile. We'd go there, we'd have some average food, depending on the budget, a hotel, we'd go into a room, we'd set up the system, we'd have our participants in a horseshoe. Can you think of one thing you do not miss about the old world?
Okay, yes, high heels.
Me too. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. We're just reading Bill Bryson on the body. We were never meant to stand up. We.
No,
That's why
just
high heels don't work.
exactly. Marilyn Monroe loved them, but I can tell you life without them is convenient. Yeah. There are even now these pajama kind of like vests which people are wearing in front of this for their Zoom meetings. So that, they can come from the bed to the screen and oh, there you are.
Perfect. If you're late, very good. I did a €10 bet the other day. I said, anyone who's wearing business shoes, I'll give you €10. My money was safe. All good. All good. All good. Love it. And we could go on from there. And I've been to places, really quite sophisticated technological places, their kit doesn't interact with my kit. And all this. Okay, so we're now in the new, and I must just give an intermediate piece. I was a pre-Zoom broadcaster, and it was a very different dynamic, which was daddy's in charge. I've got the chalk, there's the blackboard, shut up and listen. It was a monologue. I did podcasts where a monologue. My writing wasn't really interactive either. And that worked okay. But then Zoom came along. And with those chats, I'd love to get your feelings. What's happening there with the sidebars and the buddy stuff there? What's your feeling about that behaviour?
Oh, it feels great, especially if you're the participant. And you can say, okay, I'm gonna kind of like switch off the main course, kind of like the plenary, and I'm just gonna, who am I gonna say hello to?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Have a little side chat, and it almost feels like you're back at school, and suddenly you can do all this stuff, and there is no one who can say stop chatting.
Yeah. And if
So
they do, you can say, I think you'll find that training is meant to be interactive.
are you still in the sending mode? You
Yes, it's a little bit monologue. It's bit 2015, mate. I think you need to get up to speed. Love it, love it, love it. And what are they saying? What are we pinging to? I love your hello, mate. It's been a long time. I like that. What else are we peer to peering?
Well, that is, of course, a little test of trust. I mean, if you, and it's also what I noticed myself in the recent webinar where which I was attending as a participant, kind of like the game that was presented. Okay, we figured it out soon enough. it's an okay game. Then we went into breakout rooms to play it more in more depths. And actually, the three of us, we thought, hey, it's we know where this is going. Let's meet. And so, we just never did our homework in the breakout room. We just enjoyed meeting each other.
Again, you're extending the paradigm of the naughty pupil, the naughty child. And I have been there. I did a residential course with someone who's far too famous to name now, and we all were naughty children. That was 12 years ago, and most of us are still in touch. Not about the content of the course, but about our personal lives.
Actually, that is kind of like indirect networking.
Very good. So join a dull webinar and network. There, our first tip.
Yes, hire an expensive consultant who does a very bad and dull job,
Yeah,
and put on the pressure,
yeah.
um, and cultivate your network around it.
So
Yes,
they could
excellent.
do, I do a little bit of presentation training. I could offer enthusiasm reduction courses to make the prime speaker fit for purpose.
Yes, yes. And I like the kind of like you're not our facilitator, you're an intruder
Yeah, yeah,
mode.
yeah, yeah. No, when's that? When's that? Is that the breakout?
It's a breakout. So normally when we have a face-to-face training, we either can have groups in the big room where we all are, and we walk by and I always find that difficult. I always feel it's kind of like a private space and I'm interfering anyhow, but at least you're in control. You see what's happening. Are they working? Some of them might be in a small breakout room and you can drop by, fine. But then with the Zoom breakout rooms, if you come in there, first of all, you make a fool of yourself, bringing people into the right breakout rooms, and then one is missing, and what am I doing? So then you already lost all your credibility, and you want to come back and see whether they are actually working. They just look at you and think, what are you doing
Yeah.
here? This is our space. So it's kind of like, and recently I had a webinar where I gave a lot of space to all these were trainees, so they just had joined the company, and
Yeah.
they were all in their own spaces. They couldn't meet, they couldn't network. So I gave them plenty of space to actually meet in various breakout sessions. At some point, I felt, I need to give more content.
Okay.
And, and so that balance is still
Yeah, yeah,
a nice
yeah.
challenge. Yeah. But so how much contact do we need now that we are all working from these isolated areas?
Exactly. Well,
And
just a bit of simple theory, and then we'll come back to that. I think there are more blow-ups and more unnecessary conflicts and escalations because we're not meeting by the coffee machine Monday to Friday and talking about what Netflix thing we're box binging or what we had for supper. Therefore, there is this volatility. We've forgotten who we each other, who the other person is, and therefore I'm totally with you. So we've got to move from the monologuing professor to being the social facilitator.
I think we really need, I mean, that's of course no news, not exciting, but I mean, if we're going to continue with the virtual stuff, we need to understand the subtle
Yeah.
dynamics of the tools we know already, Zoom, breakout rooms, enjoy the benefits. For example, when we do the certification for the intercultural readiness check,
Yes. Yes.
we're having that in 4 webinars stretched out over 4 weeks in a strict rhythm. And people in between the webinars can do their homework. They can practice
Yeah. Yeah.
working with
Yeah.
the other.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's much more effective in a way than the face-to-face ones.
Yeah.
So there you can really seek the benefit of this form of the online learning form.
No, exactly. So you've got this, super download, and it really changes to almost a coaching format, doesn't it? What have you done last week becomes part of the experiential stuff. I mean, yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
training. I can do presentations in an intense 1, 2, or 3 days. If you're very unlucky, you'll get me for 3 days, 9 to 5, doing it intensive, and you will be a shell of a woman by the end. There'll just be dust on the carpet. Or you can do a coaching, in which case it's, what happened to you last week? Was it good? Was it bad? Talk about it. Very good. So it's humanitarian, really.
Yeah, it is just kind of like tells you again, how am I doing a good job?
Yeah.
It no, I mean it's kind of like it just tells you, okay, so sit down, watch, get feedback from colleagues, work it out together, check all your assumptions, check how you're doing things. And when you're then doing it, it's you, I mean, you save a lot of time because you don't have to travel anymore. So that time that you save, you can invest into really kind of like fine tuning and everything around bringing insight across.